John Butler, the Buffalo Bills defensive back coach, passing game coordinator, openly admitting that Sean McDermott is going to have his own stamp on this defense for 2023. Welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. OTAs revealed so much. Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, and John Butler, even Von Miller, all giving their interviews here, revealing a lot about this team. We're going to get into all the things that we learned, and starting really with Sean McDermott, talking about some open competitions on this team. And then Sean McDermott was even specifically asked about what difference he's going to bring to this defense in 2023. And word for word, Sean McDermott says, "I think you know me well enough." And I think we do know Sean McDermott well enough. His aggressive play style, I think something Buffalo lacked, especially in crunch moments when our backs were up against the wall. You know, these nerve-crunching situations in the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs in 13 seconds, against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Even going back against Houston, right? In the playoffs, we have these back-breaking moments. And I think Sean McDermott having a handle on this team, having that aggressive play style, staying aggressive in those nervous, gut-wrenching moments is something that Sean McDermott is going to bring. And John Butler, the defensive back coach, specifically stated that Sean McDermott is putting his own stamp on things here in 2023, and more so in the passing game. You know, Sean McDermott is going to have a different blueprint. He's going to have different wants and needs out of every single coach and player on this defense to exude exactly what he wants defensively for 2023. So it's clear as day the 2023 Buffalo Bills defense is definitely going to be changed up due to the loss of Leslie Frazier. Now, Sean McDermott did admit that, you know, he's got some big-time competition at all these spots, you know, and the cream is definitely going to have to rise to the top. And I really love, we see the transition, right? The vision that Brandon Beane and the scouts have for this team, bringing in the talent, bringing in competition, and bringing in depth. And then you have to transition that to the coaches, an actual head coach, and Sean McDermott. And, you know, Sean McDermott says he really has two roles. He's not strictly just a defensive coordinator calling plays this year. He's still a head coach. And I think that's something the Bills maybe have lacked all since Sean McDermott has gotten here, is that synergy between offense, defense, and special teams. We always talk about the recipe to win, right? Having the right recipe and work to win, knowing what your players do best and formulating that on a weekly basis, matchups, and just having the right recipe to win. And knowing that Sean McDermott now has his toes dipped into the sand of the defense as well as the head coach and offense with Ken Dorsey, I think Sean McDermott's going to just act as like this median between all these people that can just communicate and just let everyone know like what to expect on a weekly basis, the right recipe to win on a weekly basis. Now, John Butler more so dealing with the passing game of the defense backs, and I really loved what he had to say here. Basically, you know, last year we had a rotation, right? Trey White coming back week 10, late in the season, when teams are firing on all cylinders, when teams are trying to get hot late to make the playoffs. Trey White comes back on Thanksgiving, gets thrown in there, and off an ACL injury. It was just a lot to expect from Trey White. And John Butler said, you know, his offseason was really focused on maintenance and getting healthy and just making sure that knee was right after tearing it. And now this offseason, knowing that Trey White made an appearance last year, now he's really focused back on technique, back on getting coached by the coaches, getting coached by John Butler, and maybe more so focusing on game planning and strategy versus maintenance of that knee. And I think the Bills are really betting on Trey White to be a solidified starter to get that 100% snap count once again. And what does that do? It really bumps Dane Jackson into the competition of cornerback too. You know, last year, rotating Trey White and Dane Jackson because of that injury. And then last year, Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford kind of fighting things out, battling things out. Benford going down with that injury, and then Kyer Elam taking it over and just taking advantage of his opportunity there. But now we're going to throw in Dane Jackson into that mix, into that competition per John Butler, our defensive backs coach. I really think that's great. I mean, why not? And then at the very least, we could still have Dane Jackson back up Trey White, right? Or back up be the backup to the opposite corner. So, I really am liking that. I'm loving the competition that John Butler has brought to this team. So understanding that there's definitely going to be a different stamp to this 2023 Buffalo Bills defense. Sean McDermott saying that you have to couple that with this offense. It's clear the Buffalo Bills definitely are running up the score. Late in games, we want to be up by 2 or more possessions. And Damian Harris had his press conference interview with Steve Tasker and Chris Brown. And he said that's one of the reasons that intrigued him to come to Buffalo, because of those opportunities late in games, being able to grind games out late in the game. And you get a lot of home run hits. You got teams knowing that you're going to run it. They start stacking the box a little bit, and maybe you just slip right through there and take it to the house. You only got so many levels to break through. And I'm liking it. I'm absolutely liking it. I love what Damian Harris is presenting there. There's going to be big-time opportunities for each and every single player on this team. Dalton Kincaid, Josh Allen was hyping Dalton Kincaid up, talking about his catch radius, how fluid he is, getting in and out of breaks, being that, he's different than Dawson Knox. He's going to present a different skill set than Dawson Knox, although Dawson Knox is still a great tight end. I really think Dawson Knox is still going to get those red zone targets. He did great in the red zone, making the most of his opportunities, getting a lot of touchdowns per target, Dawson Knox last year. Dalton Kincaid to do the same, but knowing that he's more of a receiving type tight end, split out wide type tight end, wide receiver type tight end. I think we're going to utilize him more in the middle of the field, and then maybe utilize Dawson Knox once we get down in there. But I'm absolutely loving this. Josh Allen went on about Trent Sherfield as well, saying he's probably the hardest worker on this team right now, battling things out, bringing competition to Gabe Davis on the outside, just being a ferocious blocker, merging the line between 11 and 12 personnel. Trent Sherfield should really get the attention too. It's not just Dalton Kincaid. I'm absolutely loving what's going on. But you see the transition from Brandon Beane assembling this team, assembling a beast mode offensive line, the best running back room that we've had in a long freaking time. Justin Shorter and Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy, Dalton Kincaid, Poona Ford, right? And then who's going to rise to the occasion for that middle linebacker spot? It's going to be so freaking interesting to see what happens there. Cannot wait for this upcoming season. I am going to be leaving on vacation here again, driving across country this time to the West Coast, California, all the way up to Oregon, Washington. So it's going to be a heck of a trip. I don't know if I'm going to be able to post videos every single day. Just want to say I definitely appreciate every single one of you. Just let me know. Let me know how I could improve the channel. I just kind of want to hear from you guys. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts for this upcoming season. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. Go Bills.